Thank you. Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome to this stakeholders meeting for Kisumu Water and Sanitation Company for the year 2023. We are privileged and happy to host you, and we just want to start this afternoon's program. Feel very welcome and karibuni sana. So I want to invite the Kisumu Water and Sanitation Choir to come and start us off with the national anthem. Then we will have a prayer and proceed with the introductions. So wana choir, karibuni sana. I hope we don't completely distract the board members. Wengine wanaweza simama on the other side. So let us all be up standing for the national anthem.
kusambaza maji safi kwa watu wote. Kwa pamoja twajitahidi kufikia wateja wetu. Siku zote twazingatia mahitaji yao wateja. Nia yetu kuburudisha maisha ya wateja wetu, na pia kuwapatia maji safi wakati wote. Maji taka twayakusanya na halafu tunayatibu. Mazingira yetu twahifadhi kwa ajili ya watu wote. Ni jukumu letu KIWASCO kuunganisha na kusambaza maji safi yenye ubora kwa wateja wetu wapendwa. Maadili ya msingi, nguzo zetu ni umoja, ubunifu na uvumbuzi, uadilifu na uweledi. Nia yetu ya kuburudisha maisha ya wateja wetu, na pia kuwapatia maji safi wakati wote. Maji taka twayakusanya na halafu tunayatibu. Mazingira yetu twahifadhi kwa ajili ya watu wote. Sisi sote twajivunia kwa sababu twawajibika. Kazi yetu hapa KIWASCO wateja wafurahia, na huduma tumeboresha. Changamoto sasa ni haba. Wakaazi wote Kisumu tunawapa huduma bora. Nia yetu ya kuburudisha maisha ya wateja wetu, na pia kuwapatia maji safi wakati wote. Maji taka twayakusanya na halafu tunayatibu. Mazingira yetu twahifadhi kwa ajili ya watu wote.
Remain upstanding to the prayer.
Tuamini na tuombe. Mungu wetu na Baba wetu, adhuhuri ya leo twaja mbele zako kwa unyenyekevu na shukrani nyingi kwa mioyo zetu. Mfalme, tunasema ni asante, ni kwa ajili ya siku hii nzuri uliyoifanya, uliyoitenga, ni kwa ajili ya faida zetu. Baba, tunasema kikao hiki twaikabidhi mikononi mwako. Asante Mfalme kwa kila jamii iliyoakilishwa mahali hapa. Tunasema Bwana, ukajitwalie sifa miongoni mwetu, maana wewe ni Mungu. Asante Mfalme kwa mengi unayofanya kwa nchi yetu ya Kenya. Umezidi kuilinda Kenya na kulinda mipaka ya nchi ya Kenya. Bwana, twaomba kwa ajili ya viongozi nchi Kenya, wazidi kuwaongoza kwa utendakazi wao. Mfalme, ukapate kujitwalia sifa. Asante pia kwa kaunti yetu ya Kisumu, tunaiweka mikononi mwako. Tunaomba Bwana uzidi kuibariki, uzidi kuipanua, na uzidi kutuwezesha kupatana na malengo yetu. Bwana, bariki kaunti hii, bariki gavana wa kaunti hii na viongozi wengine. Asante Mfalme kwa shirika la KIWASCO, directors wetu wote tutaweka mikononi mwako mchana wa leo. Tunaomba baraka zako juu ya maisha yao, ya kwamba wanapoongoza shirika hii, Jehova, wakazi wa Kisumu wakaweze kupata huduma zinazopendeza, huduma zinazofurahisha. Zaidi ya yote Mfalme, mahali tulipopungukiwa ukatujaze, maana wewe ni Mungu. Yale tujaomba, tuomba kupitia jina lako takatifu, na ni katika jina safi Yesu Kristo aliye Bwana mkombozi wetu. Amen.
So thank you. Let's get seated as the choir also gets a place to sit. We want to now go into the session of getting to know whom we have in the house. We invited so many people, stakeholders, partners, and we now want to know who are with us in the house. So allow me to start from here, going to the back. You can let us know your names, where you're coming from.
University for this meeting. I'm representing the Vice Chancellor, Professor Julius Omondi Nyabundi, who's out of town on official duties. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Karibu.
Good afternoon, everyone. My name is Bernard Boruse, representing the Basin Area Coordinator, Water Resources Authority in Kisumu.
Thank you.
My name is Dr. Willie Sachola from Kisumu West. I'm a stakeholder.
Thank you, Daktari.
Good afternoon, everybody. How is my name? I run for the kiosk in the town. Thank you.
Karibu sana. I hope all the kiosks are well represented.
Good afternoon. My name is Jason Ochola, Kisumu Water and Sanitation Company, Head of Commercial Services. Thank you. Good afternoon. My name is Engineer Moses Jura. I work at Kisumu Water and Sanitation Company. I'm the technical manager.
Thank you, Chief. These are our members and staff. If you have anything,
Good afternoon. My name is Vincent Omondi. I'm a master operator for today's meeting. I do represent the master operators for KIWASCO.
Good afternoon. My name is Mwalimu Evans Dola, otherwise also known as Field Marshal, from Nyahera, Kisumu West. I'm a consumer and also representing the teachers' interest.
Good afternoon. My name is Ezekiel Okuna. I'm here on behalf of Chairman of Lolwe Estate, Joshua Ugeni.
karibu sana.
Good afternoon. My name is Sri Kanananda. I serve at KIWASCO as a field coordinator.
Good afternoon. My name is Samuel Omshole. I'm the mechanical engineer at KIWASCO.
Good afternoon. My name is Prudence Mabuya, Area Manager Commercial Services at KIWASCO.
Good afternoon. Maureen Ode, Rural Water Church.
Otieno Timothy, Area Manager at KIWASCO.
Good afternoon. My name is Faith Onyango, Customer Care Manager, KIWASCO.
Good afternoon. Daniel Opeyo, I'm a consumer.
Good afternoon. I'm Ogambo Joseph Odo, the person heading new connection and installations.
Good afternoon. I'm Refa Uwar, consumer from Kirembe.
Good afternoon, everybody. I'm John Allo from United Villas, representing the directors of United Villas.
Afternoon, everyone. My name is Frederick Oko. I'm the Deputy Hussein Charge, Kibos Maximum, standing in for the Hussein Charge.
Karibu sana, Kibos.
Good afternoon. I'm Patrick Omoga Otieno, Assistant Chief for Maseno Township. Thank you.
Good afternoon. I'm Jack Sirengo, KIWASCO.
Good afternoon. Salome Ofumu, KIWASCO.
Good afternoon. My name is Berry Lobedi, Financial Accountant, KIWASCO.
Good afternoon. I'm Nicholas Moseti, the Head of Finance, Kisumu Water. Thank you.
Shalom. Vitalis Ajumbo, Gulf Water, that's from Kisumu West, stakeholder.
Karibu Vitalis.
Ladies and gentlemen, good afternoon. I'm Stella Kamwasir, the NEMA Regional Director for Nyanza.
Good afternoon. My name is Anthony Ogwan. I work at KIWASCO as the Head of Supply Chain.
Afternoon. My name is CHRPK Abel Kauta, Head of Human Resources at KIWASCO, and I'm glad that today I'm sharing the same room with my former teacher at College of Human Resource Management. I think he'll introduce himself, but Head of HR at WASREP. Karibu mwalimu.
Good afternoon. My name is Opio Joffrey. I'm the manager for Handling the Water.
Good afternoon. My name is Engineer Bernard Asuna, Director, Water Infrastructure Development, County Government of Kisumu, and I'm also standing in for the Chief Officer for Water, Environment, Climate Change and Natural Resources, who is away on an official duty. So thank you very much.
Good afternoon. My name is Eric Oche, representing Kenya Association of Manufacturers.
God is good, and all the time.
God is good.
My name is Winnie Otieno, and I'm the liaison officer representing the General Commerce System.
God is good, and all the times. My name is Beatrice Orengo. I am a stakeholder from Kirembe, and I also represent community interest.
Good afternoon. My name is Eliwere Nangweso, Manager Human Resource and Admin from Water Services Regulatory Board, WASREP. I'm representing the acting CEO, Dr. Julius Itunga, who did not get the opportunity to come here today. The gentleman that spoke here, I think I taught him CHRP, Certified Human Resource Professional. Okay, I didn't know that he's here. He taught him human resource accounting, leadership and governance. Yes. So I know Kisumu, Water, you have the best person there. So next time when I'm coming for inspections, HR inspections, then I'm not going to look at the directors. I'm going to look at him. But thank you very much. He's a very good person. Thank you.
Karibu sana. We are happy to host WASREP.
Jambo. Mimi naitwa Martin Oindo. Jambo. Mimi naitwa Martin Oindo, Chief Northeast Kisumu Location. Thank you.
Good afternoon, everyone. My name is Dr. Satwinder Singh. I'm the Director of Sumo Computers and I'm representing the consumers. My pleasure to be here.
Good afternoon. My name is Israel Akina. I'm the Chair of the Chamber of Commerce.
Good afternoon. My name is Paulina Kwacha, maendeleo ya wanawake organization.
ladies and gentlemen, good afternoon. I wish to extend a very warm welcome to all of you for sparing time out of your busy schedules to join us for this annual stakeholder meeting. It gives me immense pleasure to see such turnout for the event, and I thank the Lord for giving me a chance to serve this great organization as chairman of the board of directors. In the same breath, let me introduce you my board members present here today. From my left, we have Director Dorcas Ina. She represents the hospitality industry. Then my colleague also, she is a director, the CCM Waziri Marilyn Agua, in charge of water, environment and climate change. Next to her we have Dr. Benson Nyabega. He represents the professionals in the higher education in the board. Thank you. From my right hand far end, we have Mr. Albert Ojonyo, representing the business community and the manufacturers. We have next to him, we have Director Phyllis Chepkemboy. She represents the professionals in the board. And of course, on my right hand side, immediate right hand side, the MD of the company, Thomas Odongo. Thank you. We are grateful for your instrumental support to KIWASCO in our quest to facilitate and promote sustainable management of water resources and access to safe water and sanitation. Distinguished stakeholders and ladies and gentlemen, one of the most critical ways of ensuring business continuity and growth is by allowing room for constant engagement and communication with key stakeholders. These kind of engagements are normally executed directly or indirectly through various means, but face-to-face interactions remain central in bolstering our relations. This is why we religiously hold the annual stakeholder meetings with our distinguished stakeholders. Today's stakeholder meeting indeed comes at a time when, as a company, we are celebrating 20 years of service. This is a great milestone for us, and the more reasons to celebrate the great strides we have made in our efforts towards expansion and modernization of our services. Allow me to highlight some of our key achievements, but the MD will dwell deeper into this in his presentation. I'm proud to announce that the construction of KIWASCO headquarters, the permanent home, is successfully completed and the staff have settled in. We have relocated from Nafaka House. The new establishment provides the company with several amenities meant to enhance our customer experience, as it is expected to bring out the best in our staff. This will in turn positively impact on our business and enhance our efficiency in the sector. On the 8-year license, the company became the second water service provider in the country to acquire an 8-year operation license. This presented us with the opportunity to operate up to the 2030 without further renewal. It also positioned the company as a commercially viable entity, meaning that chances of accessing commercial financing, public-private partnership and donor partnership will increase among other benefits. On the performance and partnerships, KIWASCO has grown to be a best setter in the country, in the country's water sector, attracting local and international partnership across the world. We are constantly hosting water service providers for benchmark and peer learning, and this makes us proud in contributing to the knowledge transfer. Ladies and gentlemen, we have continued to enhance our process automation, thereby reducing human intervention, and this has helped us reduce fraudulent practices while improving customer convenience. In addition, we have increased water and sewerage coverage and particularly taken a deliberate interest in the sanitation value chain. Some of you may be aware, but others may not, but let me take this early opportunity to inform you that I shall be bidding farewell to the company after serving for 6 years. It is a mixed feeling as I exit because I've enjoyed my stay here. Let me confess that when I was nominated to KIWASCO board, I did not have a lot of expectations. KIWASCO has proved me wrong, and I confidently say that it is indeed an icon company. I have particularly enjoyed the team spirit, dedication, professionalism, and commitment that the staff have. I have created lasting network with the stakeholders I have interacted with, and above all, I have enjoyed working with my kitchen cabinet, my fellow directors who are seated with me here. Thank you all for such a good time. Thank you for listening to me, and I wish you a very fruitful meeting. I'll now invite, thank you. I will now invite our Waziri to make her remarks.
Thank you, Chair, for that wonderful opening remarks. Good afternoon, everybody. Just was stated, my names are Marilyn Yanza Agbo, and I'm here in my capacity as the CCM in charge of water, environment, and climate change, Kisumu County. I'm also here as a pioneer of KIWASCO. And today, we are proud to have some of the people who saw KIWASCO grow. I'm happy that ex-director, is there something like that? The former director, the former chairman, Mr. Israel Agina, is here with us. The chairman has stood with KIWASCO all along, and that tells you the journey that KIWASCO has gone through. And as stakeholders, we have to protect, we have to conserve, we have to treat, and at the same time use water. Because KIWASCO is a company that is non-profit making. It is a service delivery company. And KIWASCO is a company which is owned 100% by the county government of Kisumu. So as we are all here, as the stakeholders, we have a responsibility. And much of the responsibility may be done on the directors of KIWASCO and the staffs of KIWASCO. But also as stakeholders, we have responsibility. And that responsibility starts with how we use water, how we pay our water, how we conserve the water that we are given to use. As a county government, we've put policies and regulation in place. The final act is out, the Kisumu County Water and Sanitation Act is out, and the governor will be appending his signature on it on the 14th of this month. As that is done, we have other regulations that will come on board that will guide, will be a guideline as per the water resource guideline. One of the things that act is coming with is a sister company which KIWASCO is currently babysitting and nurturing, and that is the KIWASCO, which will be the rural water company, so that we leverage KIWASCO from certain responsibility and the management of certain rural water company. Those will be responsibility of also the stakeholders here who are coming from the rural areas, so that we will be having a strong rural water company which will be using for resource mobilization for the rural water communities, and also for good water governance for those rural water community. As I stand here, we are happy to say that we are sending off a great man. And as my governor told me last week, how I wish we could extend Vinod Patel's term. But because of the policies and the laws, we have to release him. He has done us great. As the board members, we are going to miss him. I'm happy that I've joined this board 1 year ago. But the energy and the experience and the advice that Vinod was sharing with this board is exemplary. We are proud that he's leaving us and leaving for us a building that we'll always see forever. As stakeholders, we have to take the responsibility of taking care of our water, starting from the resource up to the household level. It is our responsibility also to see that the sewerage systems are connected to. We have a network that is not yet tapped, and we will be improving in the networking and connection of the sewerage system so that we protect our environment, and that will also improve the revenue of the company, and it is going to also save Lake Victoria, which is the major resource that we have here. For the directors who are remaining behind with us, we have a challenge. And the biggest challenge we have is to identify a chairman who will fit into Vinod's suit. Sometimes replacing a leader is very difficult. And most of the time, leaders are replaced with non-managers. So my prayer is that as Vinod leaves us, let's bring a chairman who can match the foot that he has put in place. Thank you.
questions starting us off. Abel, can we appreciate the chairman and the CEC in a very special way for the good presentations they've just given?
Tunataka kushika mosquito ya bad governance, mosquito ya non-revenue water, then tunaua as isindikiza vidole. So nikisema mosquito, sema kamata, tingiza, make sure imekufa, and then nikisema ua, sawa. Mosquito ya non-revenue water, kamata, tingiza, ua.
Thank you so much for that. Our next presenter is our company secretary, Solomon. And as he's setting up, I know there are those of us who are already itching with questions. We are going to have a plenary session at the end where we'll respond to all the questions that you have. So kindly just note them down. A time is coming for them. So Karibu Bwana Company Secretary. He's going to take us briefly through the topic governing the sustainable organization. Karibu.
Thank you. I've done the introductions. Ladies and gentlemen, good afternoon again. As I said, I have a nickname as Equity Secretaries and Registrars. Back on my full names, we should be, I think I presented, beamed there. That must be another one. I'm sorry for that. Put the correct one. I practice in Nairobi as an advocate under the trade name of Ombati, Otieno, Opondo, and Awino Advocates. A long name. The last one belongs to me. I was glad at the introduction level I had, and I noted that we have a governance, leadership person in the room. Thank you very much. No, I'm also a governance auditor. So when I hear governance, I feel very happy and proud. So I'm having that pleasure that we shall discuss the same. Now, I've heard the speech of the chair, and I've just noted that the chair's term is ending. I've also noted the speech of Waziri, and all of them have summarized what I heard today. Governing sustainable organization. Now, KIWASCO is 20 years old. So what is the sustainability? I think that's what we want to look at now. How has KIWASCO weathered the storm all these 20 years? And how do we maintain that status so that it's sustainable? Waziri talked about the sustainability. The chair talked about the sustainability. And we want to see this afternoon, how do we sustain this organization through governance? And that's why I said when I realized that we have got governance people in the room, I felt very, very happy. So the topic is governing sustainable organization, the principles of good corporate governance. I don't know whether my gadget is not, I'll be assisted a bit analog, but though I said Sazen, yeah? Wow. You have to, okay. I think you'll see, I will assist you like that then. Okay. What are the principles of good governance? And these principles will make this organization to be sustainable. One of them is ethical leadership and strategic management. Ethical leadership and strategic management. And that's what Waziri just talked about. That when chair came in, we have seen that leadership, that professionalism. We have got another principle of transparency and disclosure. This is another principle that will make this organization to be sustainable. Because when we are managing, when we are running this organization, we must be transparent and we must be people who are ready to disclose. Another principle that will make this organization be sustainable is compliance with laws and regulations. I realize that Kisumu is a trailblazer. I've just heard that there's an act being signed, was it next week on 14, which will now govern the water sector. I think, just as Waziri said, we shall now divorce rural water and KIWASCO. I think that's very important because most places have not done this. So we are going to talk about compliance with the laws, and because what she has said, after that act, there will be regulations. So for us to be sustainable, we must comply with the laws that we have and regulations. Then there's the communication with the stakeholders. I've noted that today is Stakeholders Day. We have stakeholders and shareholders. Initially, all people talked about were shareholders. But we have realized that without the stakeholders, these shareholders can be nowhere. That's another very important principle of corporate governance or governance that will make us to be sustainable. Board independence and governance. Did we hear from the Waziri that the chairman of the board has been, and the chair also talked about the kitchen, this kitchen cabinet. They have been having meetings, deliberations on how to run the company. So this board must be independent so that they can run it. So that's another important principle of governance that will make the company, the organization to be sustainable. Then as they become independent to run the company, there must be board policies, there must be systems, practices, and procedures. Without those policies, everybody can come with anything in the board to run the organization, which will not make the organization to be sustainable. So that's a very, very important principle of sustainability in governance. Then we have what consistent shareholder and stakeholder value enhancement. Mark the word consistent. Shareholders and stakeholders must always have engagement. This engagement will add value to the company, which will make this company or the organization to be sustainable. Then we have corporate social responsibility and investment. Initially, it will end at corporate social responsibility, CSR. But now, there's the investment part of it. So we realize that for this organization to be sustainable, for governance in the organization to be sustainable, we must have that CSR, which brings investment. Next, thank you. To achieve, we have said that to achieve effective governance, a good board culture should ensure. And what's the board culture? We are talking about running the organization. So for the organization to be sustainable, we must have a good board culture, which will have the following: separation of the people from the problem. We must separate, for the organization to be sustainable, the organization of the board that manages the company must separate the people from the problem. And again, focus must be on the interests and not positions. Mark that. We have positions, but if we have to be sustainable, we must not have interests, but we must not always talk about our positions, but the interests of the whole organization. We must generate options. Now, in problem solving, there are many options. There could be several options in solving any problem, but each of them should be subjected to a decision analysis. Using the objective criteria to make wise decisions, this is one of the key leadership attributes. What we are saying is that for a board to have a sustainable organization, those are key things that we must have, so that those principles that we have just seen can be achievable. And next. So we have what the people who run this organization that we want to be sustainable. So these are the directors. So these directors must follow the law, and that's why we are talking about directors and the law. So why directors and the law? Can this director just run this organization without the law? Because we are saying directors and the law. Which law are we talking about? Which are these laws that we are talking about that these directors that want to run this sustainable organization must follow? And what's the nexus? What's the correlation between corporate governance that we are talking about, those principles that we have just seen, and the law? What about the board? So we want to look at this so that we can see that can we have a board that will run this sustainable organization using the principles that we have talked about. Next. So we are saying that for us to run this organization, we must be aware of the relevant laws affecting this organization. We must be aware of the laws. The board must be aware of the laws that affect this organization. We are going to see those laws in a short while. So board members, we must realize that as board members, we are liable for the acts that we do and omissions. And these liabilities, or the liabilities of the laws, will come in the form of negligence. For us to be sustainable as a board, we must not be negligent. We must not have defaults. Defaults in actions that we do that can impact on the organization. We must be careful about breach of duty that we have for the organization and breach of trust. So we realize that the code of conduct and ethics will always encompass what we do. We must have a strong ethics culture so that there's no conflict of interest, there's whistleblowing policy, and these policies must be developed. I'm meant to understand, and I've realized that there's something called Mwongozo. Now Mwongozo, interestingly, I was one of the people who, I can call myself a pioneer in this, but the first to be trained on Mwongozo. Now these are the good corporate governance principles for state corporations, organizations that have been formed by the government. So this is what they call Mwongozo approach. Now the Mwongozo approach is comply or explain. You have to comply with these rules, but if you can't comply, if there's any reason for non-compliance, you have to explain. So a good board that wants to be sustainable must always comply. But should you fail to comply, explain why you can't comply. So this brings in the ethics and integrity, which is the ethical leadership of the board and the management. So as a board, we must establish core values which the organization must adhere to. These core values will be the corporate culture or reputation which brings in the image of the organization through strategies that we develop. And next. So we are talking about compliance with the laws. The directors must comply with the laws and regulations. So a few of them are our constitution, the Constitution 2010. I've mentioned some articles there, Article 10, Article 17. These are on leadership. Then we have what the Companies Act. This company is registered under this Companies Act 2015 currently. So for us to be sustainable, for the directors to ensure that the laws and regulations are complied with, we must follow the Company Act as it is. We have what the Water Act, because as a water provider, we are regulated by this act. Then we have what the WASREP regulations, because we must get the permits, we must get the licenses, so we must follow regulations on leadership as WASREP has put them from time to time. We keep on changing them. We have got the leadership and integrity act, all these acts that we have mentioned there. So we are saying that before or in the past, the business of business was to do business and to make profits. Anybody who has got a business was doing that business to make profits, but it has changed. Now it's not that. We are now, the business of doing business is to make profits by doing ethical business. That's a rider. We don't have yet, we only have to do business to make profit. That means we shall not be sustainable. For us to be sustainable, our business must be ethical business. So, how will the board do this business, follow the principles of governance? We talk about the board independence. So, what is this independence of the board that we are talking about? Yes, as Wasiri said about the chair, we know that this board must have been doing the best. So for them to do the best, they must be independent. So why is that independence also important for the sustainability of this company? How are the board members discussing their issues? When a policy document is brought, how do they deliberate? Do they have to seek somebody's opinion before they bring in a decision? So let's see how this independence will impact on the sustainability of the organization. Next. So you are saying that directors, for them to be independent and make decisions that will be sustainable, there must be disclosure of conflict of interest. Why disclosure of conflict of interest? Because we know that if we are, yes, as we had said, if we are doing these things for the organization, but you are conflicted, then it means you will not be having a broad mind or an independent mind to make decisions. So there must be disclosure. We are not saying that there will be no conflict of interest. But if there is anything that is conflicting us, we must disclose it. This will ensure independence in discharge of the duties of the board for sustainability. But again, we have the freedom to seek independent advice on matters of board within the legal framework. Yes, there is independence, yes, but should we find that in our board there is any decision that needs guidance, that needs advice from maybe some experts, we are allowed as a board to do the same. So we are saying that members of the board must owe allegiance not to the nominating authority, but to the organization. So once you come into the board, if you want the board to be sustainable, if you want the organization to be sustainable, we must not have any allegiance to our nominating authority, but not to the organization. So we must separate the roles of the board from the roles of the management. Because should we mix the two, so that what should be done by the management is done by the board, then we shall be conflicted because we shall not be making decisions that can be done, but decisions that we want to do ourselves. So stakeholders and good governance. So this governance is repeating itself again. So how are the stakeholders involved in the good governance of this sustainable organization that we want to create? So we are saying that effective communication with stakeholders is very, very important. Just like we are sitting here today, the management and the board and the company would want to engage with the stakeholders for sustainability, for good governance. For them to do this, there must be a service charter. The company will engage the stakeholders if they have a service charter. That will indicate how the engagement should be done, within what period, and in what situations. There must be a communication policy. As an organization that wants to be sustainable, we must have a policy of disseminating any information that we have. There must be public relations, so that at any time, the public are informed of what the company is doing, what the company wants to do, anything that they want to have. We must have a stakeholder engagement policy. You know, if we will, without that policy, there will be no time that we shall have the stakeholder coming in because we don't know when to call them. But a sustainable organization must have such a policy. There is the internal communications system that must be set up. So this communication is also very important for sustainability. We must have the upward communication, the downward communication, and the vertical, so that at any time we know when to approach who, and we know when to engage who. Because if it's only one way, then at times we may hinder other ideas from coming up. So stakeholders and good governance must encompass that communication channel that we have just looked at through all those channels. Here, next. Now, under that, we have got the media. We must always tell the public what we are doing. So media relations is very, very important for any organization that wants to be sustainable. We must have a policy on media briefings, the notices that we give of meetings, etc., etc. Because we want this public to know what we are doing. We don't want to do things in an opaque manner. So there must be a policy of briefing them on all this. We have got electronic media, and we have got our websites and internet interactions with our stakeholders. The stakeholders must be told on what areas they can engage us on the internet, on our website, and all those channels that we have. You can see we have got the Facebook, we have got all that, Twitter and everything. Next. So what are the emerging issues within the governance sector that we want us to know, or we want us to look at, so that we can know what to expect for us to have sustainability? So these emerging issues in corporate governance are varied. We must raise concerns on these issues, and we must recommend how these issues can be solved. Next. Now, we expect any organization to have conflict. So these are issues that will come in any organization. But how do we manage our conflicts? Because these are emerging things. Conflicts will come today, management will have conflicts, board will have conflicts, because without conflicts in the board, we may not even know our strengths. So we must have conflict management policy mechanisms. Next. Just as we mentioned on the conflict of interest, there's the conflict of interest register that the management must keep, because this is also one of the requirements. We must have a register of conflict of interest, so that at any time that the board is discussing any issue, and we realize that there's something in the agenda that have an interest in, I must register that interest, so that at any time that we are checked, that we are maybe investigated, or there's any audit, we can show that really we have this register. And as a board member, we must always be ready to excuse ourselves whenever these decisions are made. So we must restrain ourselves as directors from influencing decisions whenever we have such conflict. So we must have a policy on conflict of interest. We must have a strong CSR policy and activities that we do. We must have whistleblowing policy, so that should anybody, even the public, the stakeholders, should they be having any issues with us, they can always inform us in privacy or in any other manner, so that you can know. And again, we are talking about things like effective and efficient and expeditious dispute resolution. Because as we say, if there is no policy of solving disputes, then people will keep on looking at things and they don't act. But we must have a system whereby at any time the stakeholders or the management or anybody can raise these issues, we can discuss them, and they must be solved within a particular timeline. So we must involve the stakeholders in decision making affecting them, and that's the engagement that we are talking about. Lastly, we are talking about alternative dispute resolutions, and this is something that is now very, very prominent everywhere. Instead of us waiting to take matters maybe for litigation, as a board, as a management, we must embrace this policy, so that at any time should we have any disputes, can we have alternative mechanisms of solving disputes. Next. Thank you very much, members, for having listened to this sustainability, and I hope the principles of good governance will make us sustainable. Thank you very much.
Thank you so much, Solomon, for the elaborate presentation. Our next presenter is from Lake Victoria South Waterworks Development Agencies, Mr. Felix Kauta. Karibu sana, Director Abala Wanga, City Manager. We are privileged to have you with us. So let's give a round of applause again to the Company Secretary, Equity Registrars. Thank you so much for taking us through. Lake Victoria represents us at the national government level. I I hope it's not being bottoms up.
Thank you so much. As I said earlier, my name is Engineer Felix Okuta, Senior Engineer working for Lake Victoria South Waterworks Development Agency. I'm here representing the agency, and we also join the other stakeholders, KIWASCO board, to celebrate the 20 years of exemplary performance of KIWASCO in providing water and sanitation services within the city of Kisumu. And again, we also register our good working relationship as an agency that has made, enabled us to get finances to improve water and sanitation infrastructure. This is possible by restoring or building donor confidence so that we get finances to undertake infrastructural development. So I'll go through briefly to share the experiences we've had in terms of development of the infrastructure for water and sanitation, so that we can learn where we have come from and also where we are going, because as the population grows in the city, we need to adapt so that we ensure that the provision of water and sanitation is consistent with the increasing population. So you'll maybe go to the next slide. Okay, I'll give an introduction of Lake Victoria South Waterworks Development Agency. Maybe there are some people who are here for the first time coming into contact with the Lake Victoria South Waterworks Development Agency for the first time. I'll also highlight the previous investments that we've done in the city of Kisumu. They normally say it is always good to understand where you are coming from so that you can chart your way forward. I'll give a brief of what we've done in Kisumu City for the last decade. Then after that, there are gaps that are still existing in terms of provision of water and sanitation infrastructure within the city of Kisumu and scaling it up to the county level, the county of Kisumu. Then I'll give a brief of what we are doing now within the city of Kisumu to improve water supply situation and specifically to address the pollution which is brought by the discharge of untreated waste to the environment. So Lake Victoria South Waterworks Development Agency is a state corporation under the Ministry of Water, Sanitation and Irrigation. We were created under Water Act 202 as Lake Victoria South Water Services Board, but we have undergone some baptism after the Water Act 202 was repealed, and we had Water Act 2016. Now our name changed from Water Services Board to Waterworks Development Agency. So now we have a very long name called Lake Victoria South Waterworks Development Agency. So the development agencies in Kenya, there are a total of 19 Waterworks Development Agency charged with the responsibility to develop assets, infrastructure for water and sanitation. Then we hand over to the utility, to the water and sanitation companies for operation. So Lake Victoria South covers within the area of jurisdiction around 8 counties, but our headquarters is in Kisumu, as we are very focused on ensuring that where you are stationed, we ensure that your effect is felt so that people enjoy good service in terms of water and sanitation services. So we operate in 8 counties: Kisii, Nyamira, Kericho, Bomet, Migori, Homa Bay, Kisumu, and Siaya. So those are the counties where we operate. Just the population statistics, then the mandate, our responsibility given by the Water Act is to develop, the main one is to develop, maintain and manage national public infrastructure, specifically for water and sanitation. We operate and provide water services until transferred to county government or authority. We provide reserve capacity as water service provider. We are also mandated sometimes when water service providers are on default. We are required to come in to offer water and sanitation services. Provide technical assistance to the county and also to provide technical support to the Cabinet Secretary in the Ministry of Water, Sanitation and Irrigation. Now, just statistics on areas that the counties that we are operating in terms of the demand and the water supply infrastructure. It shows generally that we are still far from meeting the demand. The blue is the water supply capacity within the county, and the other color, I hope it is brown. I hope it is brown. Elder will rectify me if I'm wrong.
We are not seeing, and these are very important.
How can we?
Can you improvise something better? Or we can sit there. No, let's sit there for our time.
Thank you so much. So the presentation, the graph there I have is just a sample estimate of the water supply infrastructure, the capacity within the counties, and the demand. The blue is the supply, and the brown is the demand. So as you see across all the counties, there's a huge gap between the water supply capacity and the demand. And the demand is growing exponentially. So as an agency, this is something important to us, that we need to make policies so that we can attract investors to invest in water and sanitation infrastructure. Water and sanitation is like a social good. It's a basic good, but commercially it is not viable in general. So very few donors would want to come and invest in water and specifically sanitation. So this huge gap is a challenge to us that we need to think and find ways how we can raise resources so that we can match the ever-growing water demand and the supply capacity within the counties. I can just give a brief overview of what we've done in the past decade through our development partners, majorly French Development Agency, and also the government of Kenya. That has enabled us as an agency to develop infrastructure for water and sanitation to a tune of approximately 40 million euros. 40 million euros in Kenyan shillings is close to 5 billion Kenyan shillings. together with the government of Kenya counterpart funding, have also given their contribution that has enabled us as an agency to improve the water and sanitation situation in Kisumu City. And we are proud that the water supply status in Kisumu is excellent and is not comparable to any city within Kenya. These are some previous investments that we did. There is the water treatment plant up the hill in Kajulu, which was implemented between 2012 and 2014. At that particular moment, there were the challenges of the cost associated with the pumping water from the lake. So it was thought wise that when it rains, before water gets into the lake, and when it gets to the lake, we have to pump it using electricity. Why don't we harness it up the river before it comes to the city, so that it just flows by gravity? So that's why the Julu water treatment plant was done, which is currently serving Kisumu City. Next, under the previous investments, we also carried out rehabilitation of the wastewater treatment facility that we have in Kisumu. There are basically two. One on the western side of the Kisumu City, called Kisat, and then on the eastern side we have the Nyalenda Waste Stabilization Ponds, which are designed to treat waste that is generated from the population within Kisumu. So those are the works that were done in the previous investments, and the impact is 24-hour water supply service. If you are a resident of Kisumu, you can testify that there is water 24 hours. There's good quality of water that is meeting the standards. Energy savings associated with the gravity water treatment plant that I talked about earlier. A significant energy savings. And this KIWASCO, I think, is operating 60% during when the river levels are optimal. KIWASCO is able to operate 60% of their demand from up the river, and only 40% pumped from the lake. Increased number of connections when you inject more water into the system, so there is also increase in connections. Increased water coverage, improved access to clean water to informal settlements. Then also there is sanitation improvement, which is not adequate. The waste water collection system within the city is still not adequate. The coverage less than 20%, that's a red mark. It means there's a lot of pollution within the city. And the lake, which is our main resource, is negatively impacted. Now the gaps. After that, investments that was used to develop infrastructure, which was, I think the last component was completed in 2015. We still have some gaps that now we need to think about. Talk about water coverage. We need to increase the network so that as many people as possible are connected to the water supply system. The water resources still a challenge because the lake, there are issues associated with the lake, the pumping costs, and also the water quality because of the hyacinth. There's a picture there when Dunga intake receives the hyacinth, making it difficult to